Welcome to episode 75 of Rail Talk. I am reporting here from the technological capital of the world, New York City. My Wi-Fi is down. I'm joined, first of all, I'm Joe Bianca. I'm an ownership advisor at West Point Thoroughbreds, and I'm joined by someone who has a way better, more professional background than me, and probably a better handicapping opinion than me, Samantha Perry. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, Joe. What's going on?
Oh, great to see you. How's everything down in the sunshine of Miami?
Well, I did put on a jacket this morning. It is 69 degrees, so I will not, I know, don't shame me for this, but it's beautiful now. It's going to be a pretty day today.
All right, let's get after it. Rail Talk is sponsored by TaylorMade, TaylorMadeFarm.com. Go check them out. With them, your family. It's a beautiful website for the sales, stallions, the boarding, and the partnerships. They do it all. They obviously are a leading consignor, especially at the yearling sales. But the Stallions barn, as I mentioned before, is clearly on the rise. And you want to get in on some of those stallions now before those fees get jacked up, and kind of in the neighborhood of not this time because of his unbelievable, unmistakable success on the racetrack. He's only the first of many, I think, that are going to be really successful and, standouts in the stallion market for TaylorMade. So hit him up for sales, stallions, boarding, partnerships. They do it all. They've done it all for John Green and DJ Stable. And if John were here, he would tell me, yeah, Joe, you're right. Absolutely. There's no one we would ever use besides TaylorMade. They do a great job marketing. They treat every single horse and every single owner like they're the most important horse or the most important person in the company. They have a family of people and employees that have been doing this for decades. They know the horse business inside and out. They're passionate about it. And that passion produces results, as we've seen in the sales consignments and in the stallion barn. Go to TaylorMadeFarm.com to learn more about the Taylor team and all the success they're having. All right, so poking through the doldrums of winter racing is the Pegasus World Cup card about a week and a half from now. And that's why we're so thrilled. One of the reasons we're so thrilled to have Samantha on as a guest co-host for my buddy John today. Samantha, I wanted to ask you kind of about the Pegasus as a general concept, and we can talk about some of the individual horses. I remember when it was like a $20 million race, you had to buy in for $1 million, and it was kind of billed as this big social event in Miami. You had the big concerts with Calvin Harris, et cetera, after the races. You've been down there for a couple of years now. How have you seen it develop? Is it still a major social event? Does it make a dent in kind of the Miami nightlife and social scene?
Well, I feel like that's just hard in general to do here, right? Because there are so many options. But it really does, because you see a lot of people that you would never see at the racetrack typically, I feel like, at the Pegasus, and just the amount of people that you walk by and you're like, wait, do I know them from something? And then later on you figure out they were that one person in that one show one day. So as far as the social scene, it is very much alive. Obviously the purse has dropped and there's no longer a buy-in, but I feel like the hype around it socially and just kind of being this spectacular event is still very much alive and well.
So that's good to hear. I mean, yeah. I think it was, I misspoke. It was a $16 million purse. Then it went down to 12, then the 9 to 3 and then 1. And now it just kind of replaces the Don on the schedule. And the Don Handicap was a great race for a really long time. It's awesome that we've also added the Pegasus Turf race. West Point's got 2 horses pointing there with Integration and Battle of Normandy. You're on the ground, Samantha. Like, you've seen the invitations, and you kind of, I guess, have a sense of who's coming. Yeah. Who should we look out for? Who are you most excited to see on Pegasus Day?
It's so tough, right? I'm excited to see how the California horses do out here. Obviously, there's been a couple of deflections with Johannes being sidelined, which he was going to be really cool to see out here, and I was looking forward to that. And unfortunately, we won't see him anymore. But I think the turf remains a very competitive race, and as far as the dirt goes, that's what a race that is. And Mystic Dan breezed last weekend, and I don't know if you were able to watch the work. It left a lot to be desired to me.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, we can put the video up. Well, yeah, and it's interesting to touch on him as well, because that was unlike anything I've ever seen, him vanning all the way to Santa Anita for the Malibu. Now, that's like a greater conversation that, like, ever since Tex Sutton stopped doing so many flights, there's a gap in the market, it seems like, to fly horses out to the West Coast. I couldn't believe they put him on that van
I
for
know.
all that time. Like, do you think that he could kind of be worse for the wear for that trip, now having to go all the way back across the country?
It can be a lot on a horse. I will say this, physically, he does look incredible. And I think that time off that Kenny gave him helped him develop a lot more, because he was never a super physically imposing type of horse. So I think that he's done a lot of growing up. But as far as his quality, I think he's a nice horse, but the horses that he's going to face in a week and a half, I think is going to really even the playing field here for him, which will be interesting. But what I love about Kenny McPeak, and we were able to catch up with him after that work, is, and you've noticed from social media, everybody notices, he's so transparent. And I think that that's something in the game that's super refreshing. Like, I don't want to butcher his exact quote, but he said on Saturday after the work, after the Malibu, he was like, I'm disappointed in myself, not in the horse, but in myself for putting him in that situation. We thought he was doing really well and it just didn't work out. But that's a hard ask. The ship, like you said, and then just the distance. That's a whole different type of track too.
Yeah, no, I mean, if he's able to bounce back and run a big race, like, I think that bodes well for him for the rest of the year. Obviously, being a Derby winner, his credentials are already solidified, but you want to come back at 4 and you want to build on that as an older horse, especially. I mean, this is also a question I have for you. Like, have you seen, this seems like an anomaly this year with the older horse division. Like, usually there's very little to choose from with the 3-year-olds coming back as 4-year-olds. Like, how cool is it to see, Fierceness, Sierra Leone, and then in a filly, Torpedo Anna coming back? Like, it just seems like there's going to be a lot of great battles on the track that we don't usually get with the older horses.
I know we've just been so just unlucky with just these horses getting sent off after their 3-year-old career. So I think we should really take advantage of it and enjoy it while we can, because they're fragile. I mean, just being around the West Point horses, that just one little thing, it can just set the whole thing off kilter. So it is exciting. It's fun. And I think a lot of people kind of get into this headspace of, oh, well, the older division is so weak, or, oh, the Pegasus field, it looks weak. Well, where else are the horses? The ones that are sound and healthy, they're here. So what more can you want,
Yeah, no, for sure. I wanted to ask them more generally, kind of talk back and forth a little bit about the early part of the Gulfstream Championship meet. We had you on right before the meet was about to start, asked for a little bit of your observations on the synthetic track. Now we've had about a month and a half of real high quality dirt and turf racing. I'm wondering if you've noticed any trends. I'll just throw one out there that I've noticed is, how about Dylan Davis going down there and then picking up right where he left off throughout the rest of the year in New York, just killing it. And he has connections now because of the year that he had last year, but it's not easy to go to a new track that you've never ridden at full time and start winning at 20-25%.
Isn't that crazy? And at big prices too. I'm sure you probably cashed on him at Saratoga, as a lot of people did, because he brought in long shot after long shot. And that is tough. And it's tough because I feel like a lot of trainers will say, oh yeah, we'll ride you. And then, IRAD's on the horse or something like that. But I think it's good that he's kind of made his mark. And this is not an easy track to just come over and ride at, because I feel like things happen a lot quicker here, especially the grass course, especially the dirt course. Now, not as much on the dirt course as of late, I feel like, but it's tough. And he's got that timing down. And I think the more he rides it, the more he's going to even get the hang of it. But he's one that you want to pay attention to, especially with like a first-time starters. He won on one for Mark Casse a couple weeks ago. That was really impressive. Yeah.
Well, he had a horse for show get like 14-1 the other day.
On Sunday. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, his ROI has got to be right up there with all the top riders for the past 12 months or so. The other thing was when we're talking about it in the epic performance of the week, but a couple of really nice Todd Pletcher firsters, and one at a really good price, Grande the other day on Sunday, who I know really impressed you. Camp Hale was an odds-on favorite in that race for Ian Wilkes, and he beat him on the square. Like, how do these horses get let go at 9-1, Sam? It's Pletcher and Rapoli.
But it's so tough to debut going a 1-turn 1 mile from the rail too. That was obviously the odds were kind of different just due to the fact of Camp Hale, but the fact that he dueled virtually the whole way around with Camp Hale, which I felt like the tactics on Camp Hale were maybe a little bit overconfident. We weren't going 6 furlongs, and they rattled off a 46-3, I think, half for that 1-turn mile. That's not easy to do. And Camp Hale completely was fried. And the race riding by Johnny V to put him on the rail too, that's brilliant.
That guy's the best. He's like, and he's always in a great position early in the race. And like you said, the race riding to just make it just tight enough that the horse maybe thinks about throwing in the towel without interfering, as opposed to, I don't know if you saw the in the Pasco at Tampa on Saturday, or in Irad Ortiz's horse, Owen Almighty got DQ'd for cutting another horse off at the rail. You know, that's another topic that we could touch on is, you know, Irad's gotten a lot of chances with this kind of stuff, you know, and I wonder if there ever going to be a point where somebody like lays down the law and like suspends him for 30 days. I'm kind of waiting for that shoe to drop, you know?
You wonder. And then I think he got 3 days, only 3 days, which is just kind of questionable because that was a really dangerous spot. And what's funny is I played the double at that because I liked Miss Worldwide for Brian Lynch. So I played rookie card and Owen Almighty into that. And I was like, the 2 horses that were involved in this dumb mess were those 2. I was like, well, I'm done. But and it's sucky for the connections too. But at the same time, you know, so I rode races, and I'm not saying I put the smartest rides all the time either. So obviously not at the caliber I read. But it's like you said, you kind of wonder, like, at what point does it give?
Yeah, no, and it's just I don't think, like, there are a lot of people on horse racing Twitter that are like, you know, attributing nefarious intentions to him. Like, I don't think he's trying to hurt people. I just think he's a little reckless. And I think, you know, that sometimes you really need to be sat down for a little while to just kind of recalibrate how you're going to ride these races. You know, I also think of Paco Lopez. It took him forever to get sat down in a meaningful way with all the shenanigans that he's put forth. I'd love to get your thoughts on that. Like, you know, as someone who's ridden before, as someone who's around horses a lot, like the incident at Parks with Paco, like, to me, it was pretty indefensible. I was shocked to see the trainer on Twitter defending it because the horse had slowed down to a walk. What are your thoughts on that, Sam?
Yeah, it's not. It's a black eye for sure, and you can't really defend it. I think that there needs to be more transparency as far as the course of action. Like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't seen anything or heard anything of when he's coming back or what. Yeah, I know that they said he was going to take anger management or something like that. Right. But I feel like there needs to be more transparency as far as, like, what are we going to do to prevent things like this from happening, like the Juan Machado incidents at Churchill or Keeneland. So I feel like there needs to be more, like, let the bettors know, or the industry, okay, what are we doing going forward so this doesn't happen again? Yeah,
no, totally. And yeah, it's there are certain things that I think are red lines that you can't cross in racing, and doing something like that is definitely one of them. All right, we're going to talk a little bit more about Gulfstream. We're going to take a quick break. Sam, I love this rapid fire round here that we got going on, but we got to take a quick break for a couple of ads, and then we'll be right back. All right, so we brought out this segment last week, the inaugural Epic Performance of the Week, and now we're going to do it again with a co-host, Sam Perry, who's got a different idea than me for the Epic Performance of the Week. How dare she? First of all, Epic Performance of the Week is brought to you by Epic Insurance, one of the nation's top retail insurance brokers, providing expertise across key lines of insurance, including property and casualty, employee benefits, unique specialty insurance. Chris Moore, who's our buddy, our best friend, our role model, leads Epic's equine specialty practice. You can see him at the sales, the races, etc. He's got horses himself. This is his passion, and he works with horse owners. Doesn't matter if you have 1 or 250, like John and Len do. He works with farm owners and trainers, helping you secure property, liability, auto, workers' comp insurances. If you have a horse, an equine business, even a business that works with equine businesses, give Chris a call or shoot him a text, 317-650-4519. Okay, without further ado, here is this week's
The Epic Performance of the Week. The son of McLean's music has a kick, and he's a winner. It's all River Thames in the final 16th of a mile. He clears off. River Thames by 4 in the end.
I think it's River Thames. Now, this was a firster that Todd Pletcher unveiled, got bet very, very hard into the teeth of a Brad Cox firster named Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt was odds on, and this horse was 5-2. Everybody else was like close to 10-1 or higher. And he stalked him, he reeled him in, he kicked away in the stretch. Son of McLean's Music got a 94 buyer, very impressive. I don't know if he's a Derby horse because of that McLean's Music bloodline. But Sam, you have a different idea. Who was most impressive to you? Who was your epic performance of the week?
Well, my epic performance of the week was a few races later in race 7, and that was Grande.
They're an eighth of a mile from home, and Grande has the lead. Campale is very, very game, but he's also in very tight, and he's defeated. It's just a fact of the matter here, as Grande has put him away at 9-1. John Velasquez wins on Grande by 2.5.
He was not bet at all. There was a huge favorite of Campale who was coming out of some really tough races at Churchill Downs, and this race riding by Johnny V was very crafty because he drew the rail post. It's hard to debut going that 1-turn mile first time out, and the situation he put Brian Hernandez Jr. in, who, by the way, came in to ride this horse for Ian Wilkes Campale, he put him away. That was a lot of intimidation on the rail there, and what a crafty ride by John Velasquez.
Son of Curlin, too. So you got to think he's going to stretch out even further. All right. So we got our first co-epic performances of the week. It took us 2 weeks to not be able to decide on one. But I think both being from the Todd Pletcher barn, they kind of are. Yeah, we'll put them together. So those are this week's epic performance of the week. Don't forget to hit up Chris Moore and Epic Insurance for all of your equine insurance needs. Hit them up. All right. So we have our Florida correspondent on the show, and we want to welcome in our California correspondent, Michelle Yu. Michelle, thank you for taking time to talk with us today and give us a little update on what's happening with the California wildfires. It's obviously been very, very devastating just to watch from afar. Just can you tell us, the situation in LA County and at Santa Anita right now?
Well, the fires were obviously very scary and they are still ongoing. As of today, the Eaton County fire, Eaton Canyon area, which is where we were affected, is at a 45% containment. We've lost over 14,000 acres and close to 8,000 houses or vehicles in that fire. But thankfully, everything at the racetrack has been kosher. A lot of us lived through and still remember very vividly the fires at San Luis Rey several years back. We had to turn horses loose from the training center there and then go round them up in the city. And we were desperately hoping that wasn't the case. Preemptively, Santa Anita did offer to relocate horses for us to other jurisdictions or other training centers in Southern California. And honestly, I think only one trainer moved part of his string to his other string at San Luis Rey. Everybody else stayed because Santa Anita was pretty confident that we would be able to shelter in place and not be affected. Obviously, the smoke did get pretty bad down there for a day or two, but there were like these great pockets of breeze that kind of moved through, keeping it from being too stagnant. And, the days that the smoke was really bad, we did not train. We had a couple of days of missed training. We had a couple of days where you were allowed to jog, but not work horses. So, everybody got through it kind of in the same vein as far as the people situation go. It was turmoil and it's still turmoil. We have several people from the racetrack that lost everything, including jockey Mario Gutierrez lost his home. A couple of Gallup girls lost their homes. One big fan and a minority owner, her and her family lost everything they had. So as a kind of a community, we've been rallying together behind these people that lost so much. And, Santa Anita did cancel racing last week and we turned Santa Anita into a donation center, and the volume of people that showed up to help was absolutely incredible. They brought out clothes and shoes and dog food and medication and toothbrushes and toothpaste and food and so much stuff. And we went and volunteered a day just handing out to people that came up. And, there were some people walking around shell shocked almost. And there were some people that were, just there jumping in feet first and handing things out. And then you found out later they had lost their home or they'd been evacuated. They haven't gone back, but instead of taking for themselves, they were there helping. So, it's really brought a lot of people together. Unfortunately, it took a disaster to do that, but I think overall, everyone here is good. Even though we're only at a 45% containment rate, we haven't seen a lot of spread. and the air here is much, much better. I mean, you can see a slight haze kind of farther west than we are, but overall it's been, really good out here. Once everyone got evacuated and is safe, a lot of people were able to move back home. We actually had 3 families staying with us for the entire week, and they all went back home on, what day was it? Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday. They went back home.
Yeah, I mean that has to feel good to have that sense of family around you in such a tough time like this.
I mean, it does. It's nice that everyone comes together and it's not just every man for themselves.
Right.
Sometimes you just kind of stood there in solidarity with everybody. We had like Zoe, right? Zoe lost power at her home. Her house wasn't in like imminent danger. But she came over and didn't have power for 2 days and brought her food to the freezer and was able to just kind of commiserate with everybody else that was over here. We still have people that our homes are okay, but the smoke damage was so intense inside. They haven't been able to move home yet. So, they're just letting people up to kind of get stuff and come back. The National Guard is there. So you have to have like a driver's license to get up your street and like a reason to go. So there's still, some of that, but we are trying to, be as helpful as we can for people like that are okay eventually, but just displaced for now. And it's very gratifying, I guess you could say, to see how everybody has come together to help.
Totally. It's not as important, obviously, as making sure that everybody is safe and everybody's made whole after this disaster. But, I do want to ask about racing at Santa Anita. Like, do you think that we've turned the corner and, it's only going to get better and they're going to be able to race consistently going forward? Or are we not out of the woods yet?
So I think that we should be on the upswing. We drew for 5 days this week of racing. We were able to move one card in its entirety, and then the rest of the cards that we had planned for last week when we had cancellations were, re-added as extras with priority for the people that had already entered. But, we couldn't just sub, all these days, unfortunately. It would have been nice just pick up the card and move it in its entirety. But we are adding more racing days. So we added this Thursday. We already raced this holiday Monday. We added next Thursday as well. So we are going to try our best to get in all of those races that were scheduled that don't get written back as extras or didn't get filled as extras immediately. We had really full fields last week, and coming into this week, we had a dirt race with 8 in it. They didn't use it because we had dirt races with 10 and 12 horses in it. So, people definitely are wanting to run. It looks like it's going to be fine here. As far as out of the woods, we are still close to where the Eaton fire is. But like I mentioned, the air quality has been very closely monitored and it looks tons better there. I expect it to be fine because when we go down to Santa Anita, it doesn't feel heavy anymore like it used to feel the first couple of days. I guess in theory, if the winds picked up, that could change. But where Santa Anita is located, we are south of like a freeway and there's like tons of block walls. We had crews on site during the fire that had huge lights. So everything was floodlit so we could see everything. We had guys with water, trucks there. Obviously, we still have some palm trees and we do have wood barns. So, there was a fright that an ember could come and catch. But because we had so many people there being vigilant, we felt pretty confident that it was not going to be an issue. We've had fires close by Santa Anita before that came down and they couldn't jump the freeway as well. So while if you look at like an overhead map, we look relatively close. I think from the fire, we're still 5 or 6 miles. So embers would have to travel a pretty long way. So I think as long as the air quality remains where it's at or improves, which hopefully as we add containment, it's going to improve, we should be just fine.
So, Michelle, for people that are watching, what are ways that we can help, or do you have any resources of ways that everybody watching, can reach out or do anything to make an impact and help?
Yeah, so Santa Anita on their website actually has kind of put everything together as far as like if you want to come help donate or make a donation, whether it be monetary or an item that they're in need of. They've like made a running list for the different groups that are in our area, because it's not just Santa Anita. We had the Rose Bowl, the Pasadena Humane Society. There's a lot of different groups all. So if you go to Santa Anita's website, we have all that in one spot. As far as the individual people that I mentioned, we do have like the family, the Greg Viggs, that they didn't have to do a GoFundMe. They just have a Venmo, and a lot of people have been trying to reach out to people to help them. So let me see if I can find that now that I even mentioned it. And I know there's a couple other people that are going to be on the TDN. Dan Ross is going to be writing an article, and he's going to have individual links if they have GoFundMe's or whatever up. So that way you can, reach out to them directly to help the people that we know that were like an immediate loss and really in need, that are still displaced. That, I mean, the Greg Biggs left their home with one suitcase each, so they have nothing. So we're definitely trying to help, them that way. It is regular dash GREDVIG to help the racing family that lost
We'll
their
put
home.
that up on the bottom of the screen. And Michelle, thank you so much for coming on and keeping us updated. We're thinking about you guys. We're praying for you guys out there. I hope everything continues to move in the right direction. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks, guys.
Rail Talk is sponsored by the Green Group, the #1 accounting firm in the horse business. There's one reason that they're at the top of the heap. No other CPA firm knows the horse industry like they do. Len and DJ Stable have over 200 horses. They won close to 2,600 races, close to 1,000 clients in the horse business because they make them money and save them taxes. And here's a special offer for listeners of Rail Talk, as this listener of Rail Talk is getting very sleepy. Complimentary, confidential, half-hour consultation guaranteeing you'll get value. Call them up. And what's that number, Michael?
732-634-5100. Green Group.
Or go to greenco.com. And while you're at it, go visit Michael's Instagram page for more of his music at M Agresta Music. And here is another testimonial from a mover and shaker in the industry who Len has helped save money on taxes, Frank Taylor.
I've known Len Green for probably 3 or 4 decades. He does my personal accounting, and he also does my business accounting. Len's just got a lot of experience in tax, and he really understands that part of the business. But the other thing is he's a horseman, and he understands the ins and outs of the horse business and everything. He owns several hundred horses, and he's in it every day. So not only does he bring the real knowledge of taxes, but he also brings a deep knowledge of the horse business as well.
Thank you, Frank. And tax season, right, we're 3 months away from tax day. Get it done, and get it done with the best in the business, Len Green and the Green Group at 732-634-5100, or go to greenco.com. Tell them Joe and Juno sent you. All right, so we were talking about a lot of the track happenings at Gulfstream, but there was a fundraiser recently down at Gulfstream, the Jockeys and Jeans fundraiser for the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund. It's a very important event, and it's a very cool event because you can go and meet some of the brightest stars of today and of yesteryear. And Sam, you ran into someone who had some major success back in the 60s and 70s, and he told you all about it. Give us the scoop.
Yeah, Steve Cawthon won the Triple Crown on a firm at 18 years old. I asked him, I said, how do you stay grounded with that kind of success and winning the Triple Crown? And he said, I had a really good family backed up behind me, because I can't fathom that kind of success, because that is racing's heyday. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and he was a kid. I mean, they called him the kid.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's something that it's so interesting about the life of a jockey. It's like you could be crazy successful, but it's just such a demanding job.
Yeah.
And Sam, you know this, you've ridden before. It's such a demanding job physically and mentally, because there's always another race, there's always an expectation. Every single owner expects you to be 100% on point, ready to ride in every single situation and ride your heart out. And it just, they're human beings, Sam. Like, don't you, that's why these kind of fundraisers and the PDJF are so important, just not only for the permanently disabled jockeys, but to kind of just raise awareness of the kind of, perilous life that jockeys live. Don't you think?
Yeah, it is. And it's not an if, it's a win with these guys. What kind of sports have an ambulance follow you around? NASCAR, I think, is maybe the only other one that you can think of. So it's really great what they've done, the PDJF. And I think one main thing that they've done a very good job at highlighting is mental health issues as well, because it's not easy. And like you said, just the strain of thinking about the next race, and you can't really just enjoy the moment that you're in. I'm sure that he said, Steve Cawthon said that the weeks between the Preakness and the Belmont were the longest he'd ever faced. And I can't even imagine. I mean, we get nervous just watching it from home. So being in it and then being 18 years old on top of that,
Right.
blows my mind.
Yeah, I always think about this. I did a story with Luis Saez when I was at the TDN, and I asked him about winning the Travers on We'll Take Charge, and he was a young guy, and I was like, "So, did you go out and party downtown in Saratoga that night?" He's like, "No, I had to be up to ride horses at 6 a.m.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not like the Super Bowl. We're going to Disney World. No, we're going to Aqueduct.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, it's you really don't get a chance to sit down and celebrate, maybe until the end of the year, you get a week or two off.
But even then, it's Gulfstream starts at the end of the year. They only have a tiny bit of time to really enjoy. And then when they're not there, I promise you, you're thinking about it because somebody else could be poaching your horses or you never know.
Yeah. No, Johnny Velasquez said the same thing to me. He was like, the second you don't show up in a couple mornings, they think you're over it. Yep. And they're looking for someone else to ride.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah. So it's great you had that experience and got to listen to a racing legend. And those events are great for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right. Stam has been very, very generous with her time and dealing with my tech issues and my technical difficulties. And she's got a split to do you can see the beautiful Gulfstream background. She's got a split to do the Gulfstream picks. So best of luck today. But I can't let you get out of here without talking about your Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah.
You're an Oklahoma girl and you're rooting for currently probably the best team in the country and a young, really exciting team. You've seen the ups and downs of the Thunder. How cool is it right now with what they're doing?
It's so much fun, Joe. It feels like 2012 again when we were, it was playoff time. We were Western Conference champions and we played Miami Heat in the finals. We won the first game and then we acted like we never touched a ball again after that first game and got put away. But it's fun. It's been a long time coming. I tell people, we don't have pro football. We don't have pro baseball in Oklahoma. We have college, but this is our first pro sports team. It's so much fun. I highly suggest anybody, if you've never been to a Thunder game, to go. It's cheap to go to. Fans are awesome. We've got a fun game coming up on Thursday against the Cavaliers. We lost to them in Cleveland last week, but now we've got the rematch at home. We're not losing this time.
Do you go back and do you go to games still?
Yeah, I do. When I was home for Christmas, I went to a Miami game here when they played Oklahoma City on a Friday. Then Saturday night, I was back in Oklahoma City. The Monday, I went to the Oklahoma City game. So it was great.
Hell yeah. No, I remember everybody was complaining when the Supersonics moved there, and Seattle still should have a team.
They should.
But you watch the OKC Thunder home games, and you're like, yeah, they deserve a team too.
Yeah.
I think it's great. Like you're saying, there was so much pent up enthusiasm, energy for a pro sports team that they built stuff the right way too.
They did.
It's
and they're
so exciting to watch.
Kids. They really are.
Right.
I mean, they're kids and they have their head on a right way. And I think that's just a good testament to the management that we have and to the coaching staff too, that they're not out doing stupid stuff. People make fun of them because they do the group interviews, but they're kids. They're kids.
It's cute.
It is. It's awesome. It's great.
It's adorable.
Yeah.
And a top 5 player superstar in SGA kind of sets the tone in that way. So congratulations. I'm so happy for you as a New York sports fan.
Good. Well, we'll take you in anytime. I told John the same thing. We'll take you in. We'll get you guys some Thunder hats. You'll be good to go.
Real Talk is sponsored by Facing Tipton. Check out the website right now. This is the first group of Kentucky winter mixed supplemental entries are now online. 27 entries have been added to the sale as hips 349 through 375. Graded stakes winners, multiple stakes winners, daughters of really nice horses from the families of grade 1 winners. So go check them out. There's short yearlings by Corniche, Hard Spun, Practical Joke, Street Sense, Violence, War of Will, plus some really nice broodmares and broodmare prospects. The Kentucky Winter Mix Sale will take place on Monday, February 3rd, beginning at 10 a.m. at Newtown Paddocks in Lexington. And of course, we got the digital sales coming up. So the first one of the year starts tomorrow. We're recording this on Wednesday the 15th. First digital sale starts tomorrow. You might be listening to this on the 16th. So what are you waiting for? Go get involved at digital.facingtipton.com. And then after the Kentucky Winter Mix Sale, we've got the February digital sale, March digital sale. The digital environment is the way to go if you want a quick turnaround, turnkey horse to have some fun with on the track in 2025. The big wigs like John and Len at DJ Stable, they can't keep all the horses. So you might get at some really nice prospects on the quick turnaround, like I said, for the rest of the racing calendar. Cannot wait to see all the cool horses that come out of those sales, and go check out the Kentucky Winter Mix catalog. Lots of cool additions as well. All right, so that's going to do it for episode 75 of Rail Talk. It was a little choppy, but I very, very much appreciate my guest co-host, Samantha Perry, for dealing with it and putting up with it. It was a great time. Thanks for coming on, Sam.
No, thank you. It was so much fun. I'm going to have to fight John to take more vacations to do this with you.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back anytime. Best of luck today at the races and the rest of the Gulfstream meet. We'll have you back on soon, I'm sure. I also want to thank our producer, Patty Wolf, our associate producers, Julia Gresta and Nathan Wilkinson, and Michelle Yu for coming on and giving us an update on the situation in California. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here next week on Rail Talk.